This is my weekly market recap of how I ended up with a 3RR instead of a 13RR. This trade I did take it, but I only made a 8RR. It was a mistake I made. And probably wondering, well, what the fuck? How did you end up with a 3RR week if you hit an 8RR? Tuesday got wrecked. Wednesday got wrecked. Thursday got wrecked as well. And throughout this whole week, I only had one setup, right, which was this setup only. Why none of these setups? Because this one did not offer me that Thursday trade. Right, I'm gonna give you guys a quick glimpse of Thursday and the other days, other than the Monday trade. Right, the Tuesday trade I had went against a bias, went against my rules, which I forgot to add. So after Tuesday, I think no, after Wednesday is when I added the rule of. I'm pretty actually Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? This is Wednesday right over here. It was pretty much. I'm pretty sure after Wednesday is when I had the rule to. Yeah, it was after Wednesday when I was like, okay, bias is wrong. I must rethink my bias here. I had the same problem as Tuesday where I looked for a long, like it went down, right? Why? But wondering, well, you had a big bias narrative to the upside. How come did it not work out in your favor? Simply because of two things. It's the fourth week of the month, time over price. Fourth week of the month always retraces, right? If I'm looking for a retracement this week, I never had any setups, right? I only had one setup, which was a 13RR, basically 14, right? And other than that is, you know, those rules I had it from a while ago. I just forgot to add it in. And now I didn't forget it. I thought, okay, I didn't need it. I read my brain. But now I do fucking need to read it. I literally, when I have my rules, I read my rules every single day, right? So now is in my journal, is in my arsenal that I have to read every single day. That okay, this mistake cannot be made again. And our Thursday trade that we had a negative 2RR was right over here, and we took a short. And you're probably wondering, well, this one went against your fourth thing, push down to the downside retracement, and you get stopped out. This one did not offer my setup, right? This one I took a setup. I took basically a FOMO setup, right? I thought it was gonna go down. It's not that. It's not the problem. That's not the problem. I didn't FOMO in, right? But if we're being realistically, that's the reason, right? FOMO in, right? That to me, I thought a threshold entry does not require me to have any other does not require me to have a right model one. So because the candle was big, right? So I didn't really knew that we didn't I did not need to have the right model one. But I found out I do need to have the right model one, which I took the lowest probably set of a model one, right? Which was a body. Because for a body of a model one, you need to have a consecutive candle, right? You can use a body. But otherwise, you must have a full candle range or consecutive candle ranges, right? Or don't enter the trade, or you're gonna get stopped out just like me. And I lost negative 5RR, right? I'm currently down negative 5RR on my funded account. Not funded account, the phase two. I passed this trade right over here. The sole reason, I went down here because I thought, 8RR is enough for me to pass the challenge account because I was already up 4RR here, right? I was already up 4RR, so like I didn't even need 8RR. I need like only 4RR, right? So I was like, okay, going down here is fine, right? So I went down here. That's a problem. If I were to go down to this daily IRL right over here, I was not about to take any trade on Tuesday or Wednesday, so that would have avoided two losses, right? That would have avoided two mistakes, right? Why? Because I'm already in trade. I feel like the trade run at his take profit until his stop loss or take profit, right? So Tuesday and Wednesday there would be no setups. We're still waiting until the market hits our take profit, right? So what was the problem on Monday? I went based out of the PNL instead of the chart and the data. Data was telling me over here, right? And the other reason I made an excuse where I said has a magnetic, what I said magnetic field. But there was two types of drone located point here. There was a weekly CRT low putting down here in a week as well as a weekly, as well as a daily CRT low. So I thought this was here's a strong magnetic field. The market could reflect out of it. Yes, it did. You could see market did go up here, but overall, it was going to go down here, right? So market did go down there on Wednesday, and this gets straight into our weekly market recap starting from Monday. I'm gonna give you guys my top down answer to every single day, right? And the other trades I didn't. I'm not gonna put it down because those are not my setups, right? I'm not gonna put it down, but I will talk about it, right? And keep in mind, everything I've talked about in this video, I've already wrote it down, I've put it in my arsenal. So from now on, those mistakes will not happen ever again. And if you go to Monday, this is our Monday. CRT low right over here. All right, so on Monday, as you guys know, it's the fourth week of the month, right? On Monday, the reason the Monday trade was so beautiful trade was because the fourth week of the month. Fourth week of the month needs to do retracement. Fourth week of the month did do a retracement to the downside, right? So looking for retracements, right? So our narrative was a weekly should relocate to the certain CRT low, as well as the fourth week of the month. So we're looking for a retracement to close the monthly open high locals concept, which is a time-based concept, which is more important than price, as you guys know, right? Go to the time frame right over here. On the daily, we had a daily ERL to IRL. How come is this from this daily to ERL? Because there's no other IRL, right? It's the only daily ERL to IRL, right? As well, we had as well a daily SMT CRT to the downside, where GU took out the high, well EU did not. So we had a daily SMT CRT to the downside, as well as we had that was literally all we had, right, in the higher time frame. Lower time frame for the narrative, we had a SMT again one more time. We're looking for a New York Reversal Profile 1 on a accumulation, 5 minute percent on expansion. But wondering, well, that 1 AM candle at the high. Yeah, no duh. The SMT, right? Had a bearish order flow. This is the last candle that tapped the height of a key level. Eventually, market had a bearish order flow. We had a what else we had here? We had a dealer range. Let me see if we had a dealer range here. Market super out of high, super out of low. We had no dealer ranges. That's all we had. We did have ranges here. We did have range. What was our range here? Our range was this right over here is the range low. This right over here is the range high, right? Range high got soup. We're going down to range low. How come this is our range high, range low? It's the daily IRL low. This is the daily, that's the weekly CRT high, right? So that's why we're looking for a push down. And that's not really the sole reason of it. The sole reason of it could be, what I'm saying, we already had a range here because we had a, this range. You could probably wondering like, well, isn't this the daily SMT high, daily CRT high, daily CRT low? This low was not a legit low, so there was no range. It was just market trending to the downside, right? Market, so you can see market did trend to the downside. Now let's go to the lower time frame. We had another SMT. That's all we had. That was enough, right? That was enough for us to take this trade. It was good enough for me, right? And our setup happened around 6 a.m. You see, tapped it a couple of times. It was for market profile. It was an expansion, retracement, expansion, reversal, retracement. The retracement phase is still all over here. So the retracement phase is until all over here. So we're looking for a retracement, expansion. So basically an OTE, and eventually another expansion to the downside, right? So what happened here was, you can see market gave us SMT one more time. It was the right number one, which was a full candle closure and not a body, right? And the only time we're taking a body if it's a consecutive candle. In this case, there's only one candle. So we're taking just the wick. Enter at the wick, stop loss above it. Take profit 1, the 4 CT low. Take profit 2, the weekly CRT low, the daily SMT CRT low, as well as the last take profit is going to be all the way down here to the daily IRL. And I did not go over here. I just go for here. I only went from here, but I'm going to show this as the correct way, right? Where in the future, but wondering like, well, you didn't even take the trade to all the way down here. Why are you putting it down here, right? I'm gonna tell you guys how much I made out of it, but I'm not gonna tell you guys like, I'm not gonna be like over here and make some excuses. I'm not gonna go down there, right? Because the trade is supposed to be from all the way down here, right? So I'm gonna show you guys the actual example of where the market should have gone to, right? Where the exact trade TP should have been. And if I just show you guys over here, in the future, I would be more reckless of not caring about where to go, right? So this what gives me a perfect example. Like, yo, market bias worked out perfectly. It was all down here. Why did I go down here, right? So I must go for the perfect drawn liquidity, right? Which is not right over here. And the perfect drawn liquidity, I mean, it was, right? You can see it went down there. But the market wanted to go down here, right? Because daily ERL to IRL. So that's the reason. And now the lesson of this trade, I executed it furiously, but I came in a little late. I came in at the setup happened at what time? 6:45. I was at the market at 7 a.m. I do not know how was I in the market at 7 a.m. Right? I was in the market. I was just analyzing, but I was like, oh shit, there's an SMT. Let me see in the lower time frame. Oh, entry. Oh, okay, they tap back. I'm gonna get in, right? They tapped it. I put stop loss there, entry there, right? Eventually went for an 8RR and I passed a phase 1. Eventually going in phase 2. I'm down negative 5RR. I should be down nothing, right? So made a mistake, but we're gonna talk about it, right? But the lesson of the trade is purely to go based on the data and the chart and my P&L. I literally, before I took this trade, somebody told me, I saw on Twitter, somebody said, trade the data and the chart, not your P&L. And my dumb ass hit the P&L because I'm like, this is too much. I don't need to go down here. But guess what? Even if I were to just hit take profit, I would have passed the challenge account, right? And the trade would have still run. When he still ran, I would have done nothing. I would have still been a trade. I would still hold it until his final take profit, right? For a 13.8 RR. This is a lot of RR. This may seem unrealistic to you guys, but to me, it's really realistic, right? 13 RR trade. And yeah, I'm supposed to end up on the liquid at 13 RR, almost 14, but I ended up on a fucking 3 RR because I made mistakes, right? So now the lesson of this trade is basically primarily to go based on the data and the chart, not my P&L. And I wrote that down on Friday. Yo, I have to go based on the data and the data and the chart, not my P&L, or else I will face severe punishments. And the punishment was 500 ladder raises and a couple hundred of arm presses, right? I literally did that today because why not? You know, somebody told me to do it in the live stream. So I said, okay, I'm just gonna do it, right? Why not? Why not do it, right? I have to stick to my words. I said I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it, right? Now on Tuesday is where we had our long opportunity. You can see the scan right over here. This is where our long happened, and we had a stop loss. While the long, I'm not gonna draw it down, but I had a negative 1.5 OR, right? And why does go in a loss? I went against a higher time frame, time over price, right? And as well, we had this concept of the downside, right? As well as what else? We went against the fourth week. Fourth week is always a retracement, not expansion. The fourth week is supposed to be a retracement to push down, and they did push down here, right? You can see Friday push up. I guess the Friday never offered any, and never offers us. Friday never offered us any entry, right? So we have never had an entry except Monday, right? You can see the Tuesday, negative 1.5 OR. Lesson was primarily to know that the fourth week is always a retracement, right? And market is always going to retrace. I could show you guys on a higher time frame, right? And that was a lesson I had from that trade. Primarily, everything else was good, right? You could see fourth week of the market retraces. Fourth week of the market retraces, right? It's probably one really close to the bullish candle. He did retrace all down here, right? Fourth week of the month retracement. Fourth week of the month didn't do nothing. Fourth week of the month retracement. Fourth week of the market retracement, right? You'll get the concept here, right? This is what's the next fourth week of the month. Fourth week of the month retraces, right? First the candle was fat, and right back down, right? You can see, guys, you guys get the concept of the fourth week being a retracement, not expansion, because time is more important than price. So the lesson of Tuesday trade was primarily time over price. Time expect is more important than price. And that day, when I took that loss, I did not put down that I must look for retracement for the fourth week of the month. So Wednesday, I fetched another loss. Now let's go over on Wednesday. We took this, right? We took this long from this CRT right over here. You can see the CRT. Which one was it? It was this right over here, right? From the 7 a.m. candle, we took a long from here. We faced a loss. Why? Same thing again. Time over price, and I forgot to put it down. So from this day on, I fucking put it down, right? I was like, yo, fourth week is always a retracement, so I'm gonna put it down as a rule. Because this rule is not anything rule. This is not. I'm not making this up, right? I'm not making this up. I've seen this happen a month ago, 2 months ago. I was literally fourth week of the month always gives me a retracement. I was like, yo, might as well look for a retracement then, right? Because last time fourth week of the month, last month, I faced a loss because I didn't face a loss, but I literally, if I was into the trade, I was gonna lose, right? I just fucking didn't trade that day. But guess what? I would have faced a loss because the fourth week of the month is always a retracement, right? So same problem here. Time over price. The lesson is time over price, and the fourth week is going to be retracement. Right? Not always going to be retracement, but if I use my brain enough, I would know what's going to happen. But I should always go in a retracement profile instead of an expansion profile, right? Because the open high locals concept, right? When the market opens, it makes a low, it makes a high. And when it closes, you can't close on a high. You need to go back down a little bit, right? So that's literally a retracement, right? The same lesson on that day. And now we come over to Thursday. Go down to the trade right over here. This was a different mistake. Now I knew that, yo, I'm looking at this. So you can see how 2 days I went for a long, this day I went for a short. I was like, and you probably wondering, did I go short out of anywhere randomly? No, I went short primarily out of the data, right? There was this narrative to the downside here, right? If you go to even the 2-day trade, there was a narrative to the downside here, right? SMT, right? But SMT never offered my entry, so I never took it. But I went first, I went bullish, but when I looked at it, there was no entry there. And even on Wednesday, there was a shorting opportunity here at the 5 a.m. candle, but the 5 a.m. candle bridge was not the right timing, so I didn't take the trade even in that day. But yeah, and our narrative throughout this whole week until Wednesday throughout the whole week was bearish, right? If I were to stick to my fourth week of bias, the whole week was bearish. Monday was the only setup that offers a good perfect setup for a 13.8 RR. Tuesday never offers our entry. Tuesday never offers that entry. Why? I'm saying it went against my rules, right? But Thursday right over here, if you can see, Thursday we had the same bias here, the same narrative to the downside. Range high got souped, we got the range low. But at daily range, right, we have a premium key level, which is the range high. We're looking for a bearish order flow over here, right? And you can see the daily IRL got tapped. Probably wondering, well, why don't you go from daily IRL to ERL? Simply because the 40 day months are looking for a retracement, right? So now let's go to the lower time frame, 15-minute for execution. And in the 15-minute time frame, when we had this execution right over here, which was right over here, I entered out of the threshold. And this trade, I had a slippage, right? Because slippage happens in the market. And am I gonna do something about the slippage? Where should I de-risk about the slippage? Because literally my entry is supposed to be at what? At 89, at 89, 90. I have my entries at 89, 82. Right? So there's a big difference there, right? So my entry was like all the way at the 82 mark. There's a huge difference, and I lost way more initial. Will I change that? No, it's just a problem. Sometimes it's gonna be like that, something like that, right? But the stop loss take profit is not a big difference, right? So take profit is down here, and you can see stop me out. And you're wondering, well, you had everything here, and you got stopped out. So isn't this a fair play to get stopped out? No, right? I'm not saying that there's no probabilities in the market. There's definitely probabilities, right? Market will stop me out sometimes, however we feel like it, right? But the thing is, my rule says not to get in, right? As you guys know, my threshold entries, I can give you guys examples of this, right? Example, this threshold entries to the downside I had, right? Where literally this trade right here, or 2.3 RR, entered to the downside. I took the threshold entry right over here to the downside. But guess what? Why did this one work out in my favor and this one did not? Because this threshold entry had the right model 1, while this one did not. I could show you guys another example, but the other example, I do not know where the market, I do not know where that took you that from, right? Right over here, this threshold entry. This threshold entry right over here gave me the right model 1. And I took the trade right over here. this trade gave me the right on number one. It was a consecutive body closure, right? Just a consecutive bitch to the downside. Market close above it. Gave me a closure above the body, right? And not the wick. So we're still valid. Now we can take the body. Why? Because we had a consecutive bearish candle, right? So this threshold worked out. Why? Because the right number one. And this one, if you go back all the way here. Whoa, what just happened? If you take this one right over here, when we took to that short, we had this beautiful loss. This negative 2 RR. That's when I was a negative 2 RR. Why I take 2 RR? Because Maru says, yo, okay, I take 2 RR because I'm in a challenge account, right? And eventually this one went down to negative 2.3 RR, probably, right? Somewhere around there. And you can see this threshold entry did not have my right number one. It did not have a full candle closure or the consecutive body candle closure. In this case, just had a one candle closure just below the body. Market tap my entry, stop me out. You're probably wondering, like, well, if you knew it, why should you get out anywhere here? As you guys know, man, if I make a mistake, I want to take that mistake to a severe consequences, right? Why? Because my brain knows, like, yo, I can't fuck up. You know what I'm saying? If I fuck up, I'm going to say things going to happen again next time. Even worse, right? In the future, if I made the same mistake like this, I'm losing what? 30,000, 40,000, 60,000. In this case, I'm only losing like 1,000, right? 1,100, 2,000, 1,200, right? Not that much. In the future, I'm losing 30,000, right? So I want to take the severe consequences, right? Let's just say I get out of the trade early, right? But in the future, I think I'm a smart ass. I put on more risks, right? I put on more size, and I hold a trade, and I think it's gonna go winner because I'm risking so much, and I get stopped out, I lose way more because Taki did not fucking pay attention when he was at a lower, when he was at as lower, earlier stages of trading, right? Of a trading journey. So, primary lesson of this trade is, even when entering with a threshold, I must have the right model number one. If I do not have the right number one, I cannot take the trade, right? Even with a threshold entry, right? Because the two examples I just showed you guys, there were threshold entries. Those threshold entries had the right number one, while this one did not. And I added this rule in my arsenal as well. Friday, which is a validation of a bias. Hey, you can see Friday right over here. If I'm looking for a New York reversal, I would need the age session lows or lunch session lows to be protected. In this case, they're not protected. The 5 a.m. candle soup it out. And in case you're wondering, well, this made sense to go upside of the daily arrow to arrow both with the month, looking for retracement, right? You can see now, just because I thought in the fourth of the month being a retracement, I only had one trade throughout the week. Tuesday no setups, Wednesday no setups, Thursday no setups, Friday no setups. A 13 RR gain, but I ended up on a 3 RR gain. Why? Because my fucking dumbass at the first mistake, I went based out of the based out of the P&L instead of the fucking chart and the data. Second mistake was, since the fourth week is supposed to be a retracement, why the fuck am I looking for a long, right? And you know, how many times am I gonna make the same mistake over and over and not learn from it, right? And I know damn well, all of you guys know what is your mistakes, right? All of you guys know what you're doing wrong, right? I do not have to tell you guys. I know some of you guys come to my stream. Yes, some of you guys tell me, yo, Taki, why does the trade go to loss? I'll tell you the example, right? I'll tell you guys why you win a loss, right? Because you went against a bias, you did that, right? Whatever, right? You can ask me those type of questions, you know, but it gets to a point where, yo, stop fucking asking me those questions, right? You should know why you're losing. You should not go to an external evaluation. You should not come to me and tell me, yo, Taki, yo, CIC, why did I face this loss? Right? You teach me this concept. Why did I face this loss? You fucking know why you lost, right? You should definitely know why you lost, because first of all, most of you guys are arrogant, right? The people I teach you guys, most of you guys are arrogant. You guys are. I'm saying you guys learn, but don't fucking follow the rules. So I have to fucking tell you guys, okay, this is why you lost, because of this fucking rule. So you lost because not a specific time purge. So you must have a specific time of the purge, right? You guys don't fucking follow that rule, so you get stopped out. Right? And you guys come to me like, yo, Taki, where I lost, right? And I told you guys to not penetrate it. Some of you guys penetrate it, and you guys come to me, Why did I lose? I should definitely fucking know he lost. Use your little brain. How do I know I lost these trades? Because I went against the 40 the month. How do I lose the Wednesday trade? Because I went the 40 the month. You see, I have answers to every fucking loss. Why does one going to win? Because I went with the 40 the month and had enough bearish to the downside, as well as why did I make full profit here? Because I went out of the P&L, not my fucking data and the chart, right? Why did I trade going to loss? Because even with threshold entry, because I did not have the right model 1. So even with the threshold entry, I must have the right model 1. So you see how I've answered to every fucking loss, right? Every loss should be an improvement for you guys, right? Even for me, these losses not impact me at all. It's just I'm down -5 overall in my fund at phase 2. I only 5% to pass it, right? But now I need 10%, right? Will that fear me? Fuck no. I could literally get out of drawdown very easy, right? And I will, right? I'm gonna probably right now have to risk 1% because I'm deep drawdown, can't risk 2% until I'm out of drawdown, right? So until I'm back at break even, I'm gonna risk 1%, right? Or 0.50% if I'm down even more. But guess what? I accept the risk. I expect to lose, right? And I know every reason to why I'm losing, right? And will I get out of drawdown? I definitely will. I got drawdown multiple times before. I've had my account down to negative 9.5 RR and got it out of fucking drawdown and made it fucking funded account got paid out, right? And that was a 100K account, right? Because why did the 100K account go to such deep drawdown? Fucking P&L over data, right? I traded over P&L. I thought it was fucking so much money, and yeah, got it out, got it pay out in the fucking far from shutdown, right? But guess what? Did I give myself a drawdown? Yes, I did, right? Even with a negative 9.5. How much am I risking now? In the challenge account, probably risking 1%, right? I'm probably not gonna risk 0.50%. I'm probably gonna risk only 1%, even if it goes on. Let's just say the accounts get blown up. I couldn't give a shit, right? Because if they're gonna go buy another one, it is what it is, right? Because I'd rather blow up these accounts now than in the future, right? Because in the future, I'm losing way more capital. So I'd rather go learn from these mistakes now and blow that account in the future. Because you guys know every mistake I learned from it, right? We did not make the same mistake. I do not make the same mistake again. This day I made a mistake again here one more time because my fucking dumbass thought it was a probability trade. But I had to find out on Wednesday that it was not a probability trade. It was because I fucking made a mistake, right? And the lesson of the week is multiple things. First lesson is to go back to the data in the chart. Now I'm a P&L. Wrote that down. Now I'm reading that every single day. Second lesson, if it's the fourth week, always look for retracement instead of expansion. Retracement to end of the week, the monthly open high locus constant, because the monthly time frame is very important. Time over price. Next lesson is the same lesson for Wednesday trade, to look for time over price as well as the 40 of the month. So we must always look for a retracement. The Thursday lesson is primarily, even if I'm entering out of the threshold, I must have the right model number 1. If I do not have the right model 1, I do not enter the trade. Even with a threshold entry, it does not matter how big the fucking candle is. I must have the right model 1 even with a threshold entry. The Friday trade was a beautiful day. I didn't make no mistakes. Got out of the chart. It is what it is. The Friday trade was fantastic. I mean, there's no setup. The Friday market recap was fantastic. Why? Because the Friday wouldn't do much here, right? Our boss got invited. I was like, okay, I'm gonna hold the chart, right? Because a lot of you guys would get mad. So after losing -5%, you guys want to make your money back, right? In my case, that was not the case, right? I did not want to make my money back. I want to trade the data and the chart. Now I'm a P&L, right? So that's the next lesson comes here, right? Again, trade the chart and the data, not your P&L. So if my P&L is -5%, I got to fucking. If I'm trading out of the P&L, I take a trade on Friday and take a loss. I actually had a settle on Friday. I would have had a loss. Why? Because my boss is already validated. So I'm looking for a New York reversal. New York reversal must. But New York reversal, the lows and highs should be protected. In this case, the luncheon lows were not, or adjacent lows were not protected. They're souped, so they're not protected. I'm about to invalidate it, right? And that's the next lesson. And yeah, we ended up week with a 3 RR. The first trade passed the phase one. Second trade literally -5 RR and a percent. Will I make out of the funded account? I mean, will I get out of the drawdown? I definitely will. I believe in power. All I gotta trade is a chart and the P&L and take these lessons onto the next week and on forward. And all these chart, all these lessons, I wrote it down. So now I know, okay, these ones I'm reading every single day. So before I get a chart, before I even open a trading view, I read my notes. Okay, today I'm not going to expect to trade. I'm not going to expect to win. I'm expect to lose. I'm expect to win the long term. I'm going to accept the loss about the risk. I'm going to accept the risk. I'm going to accept the loss about the process. I'm going to build good habits and gain satisfaction from good habits, right? But throughout the week, I'm very happy, right? Even with the -5 RR, right? But I'm still up in the week, right? 3 RR, right? But still happy because I love lessons, right? I love losing. You know what I'm saying? Why? Lessons out of it, because I want to do this, and in the future I want to be better, right? Because trading is not just about trading, it's about life, right? This helps you build up in your other aspect of your life. Once you get good trading, it's just once you can learn from mistakes in trading, you could damn well learn your mistakes from different businesses. Let's just say you make a business, right? Let's just say a construction business. You make a mistake, you do the wrong contract address, so you have some wrong business partners. Learn from the mistakes instead of being arrogant or instead of quitting, right? So this is why trading comes into play. It helps you with your other life aspects, right? So yeah, this is how we should have ended up the week with a 13.8 RR, but we had lesson only up with a 3 RR. We only took a 8 RR trade at the first because we went out of the P&L, not the chart. But now we're gonna go for out of the P&L. We're not now gonna go for out of the base, out of the data and the chart, right? Very beautiful lessons throughout the whole week. We should begin out of drawdown the next 2 to 3 weeks. We should begin out of drawdown because I do not get too much setups, right? It's very interesting to me, right? As I tell you guys, for me, entries are very. It's surprising that I had setups 2 days in a row. It's very surprising. I usually get setups at least once or twice. Getting 2 setups for a week for me is very rare, right? This week I was like wondering, what the fuck? I had a setup on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It does not make sense, right? And on Thursday, it does not make sense for me, right? Why? Because my rules sets me up, and my habit sets me up to take the highest probability setup. So it's kind of confusing for me to take this many trades in a week. I took what? Monday 1 trade, Tuesday 3 trades, 4 trades right this week. 1 win. I'm still up throughout the whole week, but those losses should have not been there, right? So it was very interesting for me to take these setups. So I knew there was something wrong, right? Because I do not take too many trades a week. I only take about 1 or 2 trades a week. Mask, right? It's very rare to me have it. It's very rare for me to have 2 trades a week. Why? Because I focus on the highest probably setups, right? If I'm focusing on probably setup, you guys see my setups always being a very high amount of RR. This was a 13 RR, right? I only made up 5 RR. Okay, fine. Okay, I don't care about how much I made, but this is how the trade is actually supposed to go. So I'm supposed to make a big amount of setups, right? So that's why I focus on the quality over quantity, because I risk the lower time frame to target the higher time frame. I'm risking the 15-minute time frame targeting the daily time frame, right? So literally, my setups are supposed to give me the highest probably setup. It's supposed to give me a really high amount of RR here, right? And my dumbass, like, I do not know why I had 3, 4 setups in a week. I should have only had 1, or not even 1, or maximum 2, right? Having more than 1 setup to me is like having more than two setups a week are fine, okay? But having more than 2 or 3 setups is too much, right? I was like, yo, this is too much in a week. I'll usually take 1 setup. That's why you guys don't see me come in the market, look at the chart, oh, I'm done for the day, right? Friday, came in the market, oh, I'm done for the day, right? Because that's why I say I don't expect to trade every single day. I only take like 1 trade a week, right? 1 to 2 trade a week max, or sometimes even 3, but that's very rare, right? A 2 trade a week is very rare for me. I only take 1 trade a week, or twice, right? Doesn't matter, right? But my trades a week is very low, not too much, right? Sometimes I don't even get a setup a week, right? So yeah, that's why I say I don't expect to trade every day. I don't go into the market expect to take a trade. I expect to not take a trade. I expect to lose, right? I say all this, these things that get my mind to focus on the right things, focus on making the habits and getting satisfaction from getting habits, right? And not the bad things. So, you know, these trades are interesting for me because I like, taking these so many trades in a week is interesting. I'm doing something wrong here. And as you guys know, your rule should be set up to give you the highest probability setup. And the highest probability setup does not occur every single day. It occurs at least once or twice a week, max, or sometimes rarely three. Right? I never had 3 setups a week, which were really high quality. But when you ask, you took 4 setups this week, right? But guess what? These 4 setups, only one of them is supposed to be taken. So I'm realistically, I only have 1 setup, right? I'm not gonna count these, right? I'm gonna count these as a loss, but I'm not gonna count these as a example, right? I'm gonna count it as a lesson, right? These losses are not good losses. They're not a probability loss, right? They're just some random ass loss. The only probability loss I ever had was just probability loss over here when I had the S&P divergence to the downside. This side right over here to the downside was the only probability loss I ever had, right? But these losses were not, right? So these losses were not a probability loss. This one was. So yeah, that's my market recap of this whole week. Thank you for watching. Go on Discord, link is down below. Like, comment, subscribe, share. I'll see you guys later. You guys see this is a long video, but it's very valuable, right? Market recap, trade recaps, loss trade recap, missed trade recaps. All these recaps are the most valuable thing in trading, right? So yeah, thank you for watching. Peace out. We're not gonna make the same mistake again. I do not make the same mistake again, right? I do not make it. If I mistake once, I never make it again, right? I fucking hate making the same mistake. I made the same mistake so many times before, same mistake over and over, and then I learned from it. Now, whole different thing, right? I'm not a guy from yesterday. I'm not a guy from yesterday. I took the thing when I took these losses. I'm not that type of person anymore, right? I'm not I'm not my old self. I'm a new fucking person, right? It's like every day I'm a new person, right? Every day I'm living a new life, right? Because every day I'm out. You can't just go for. I don't go for the past. I go from the future, not for the future. Not even for the future, present, long term, nothing else. See you guys later. Thanks for watching. Peace out. Peace, my boys.